Both of us here at Gaming Off the Grid grew up in the 1990s, and we have to admit, we were Nintendo fanboys, and we kind of still are.
I've grown up with Nintendo. I played every Nintendo console, home console that is. They're so good.
But over the last 3 years, we have been doing a deep dive on the Sega Genesis, and it has become one of the most fun consoles to collect for in our game room. Today, we talk about, in our opinion, the top 5 must-own Sega Genesis games. Let's go.
Hey everybody, I'm Demolition Smash and this is Axe.
And you're watching Gaming Off the Grid.
If you've been hanging around for a while, you know we grew up Nintendo kids.
Yep.
Then we had like a midlife or mid-teen crisis and we became PlayStation kids.
PS2, baby.
And then, you know, that didn't really allow much time for us to experience Sega. Sega Genesis in particular. I fell in love with the Dreamcast, but for the Genesis, for me, there was only like the neighbor's kids that had Genesis, but I was a Super Nintendo guy.
Dude, I didn't even know the Genesis existed. I didn't even know Sega existed. I saw a Dreamcast when I was younger and I thought it was a homemade console.
Yeah.
I didn't even know Sega existed.
So then we become collectors. We start a YouTube channel and we know, you know, kind of generally what was on the Genesis, but we never took a deep dive until about a year ago.
I spy not only Robert in his awesome coat, but this is the game we want today. It will be a successful day if we go home with Hyperstone Heist.
What do you collect when you have everything you want? For the most part. You know, there's things that we don't have, like Power Blade 2. Of course, you guys know that we're on the journey for that. But we always collect all killer, no filler.
Yeah.
But in particular with the Sega Genesis, that's how we are doing it. And so we figured, let's talk about, from what we know right now, the top 5 must-own games for the Sega Genesis. And I think this is going to be a lot of fun because if you're new to collecting for the Genesis, you're in the same boat we are. So longtime Genesis fans, you might hate this episode.
Yeah.
But we're new to the scene and we're loving collecting.
And
for
a couple
this
of the
console.
games in our top 5 are games that we recently picked up that we're really loving, and we're so happy we got them. So let's jump into this list with the first game. This game's really cheap, but I think it's a must-have if you're a Genesis fan, and that's the 6-pack.
Yeah.
6-pack and a pound. It's like the best of the Genesis. It's a great game if you are just picking up a Genesis. Get the 6-pack.
Yeah.
Because you get 6 games with it. You get Golden Axe, Sonic the Hedgehog, Columns, Revenge of Shinobi, Streets of Rage, and Super Hang-On.
Yeah,
Great
and you know,
games.
right here, the ones that jump out to me, you know, Sonic, okay, you can get that wherever, but for the price of this, to get Streets of Rage 1 and Revenge of Shinobi, the value here is unbelievable. Obviously, we're in a world of emulation, and people are probably like, well, I could play those games anyway. This is for collectors.
Yeah.
For collectors
Physical
that want to
media.
play on original hardware, this is a must-own game, and I think it's a worthy contender in our little top 5. Again, we're rookies to this thing on the Genesis, but that makes our list.
All right, so the last game we talked about, the 6-pack, is pretty cheap, CIB. The next game we're going to talk about is not. This game is expensive, and we just picked it up, but I'm so glad we did because this game is amazing. And that's Castlevania Bloodlines. We got ours, CIB. The box is a little beat up, but man, this game is beautiful. If you are a fan of Castlevania, I think this is a must-play. I will say there are a couple frustrating parts about this game. If you're used to playing Super Castlevania 4, and you got that directional whip, this game does not offer it, which is frustrating. But that's if you're playing as John Morris. If you play as Eric Lacard, you have the Alucard Spear, and that gives you directional, just like the directional whip. I think playing as Eric is the way to go just because of that directional spear. It makes the game awesome.
Must play if you're a Castlevania fan. When you're in the 16-bit era of Castlevania, you're kind of splitting hairs. I think Super Castlevania 4 is probably the best. Rondo's up there. I think this game would fall behind those. Personal opinion. You know, tear me apart if you don't agree. But Bloodlines is a must-play,
It's
for sure.
so good, and what's cool about Bloodlines is I feel like it's a different story because you play as characters that I've never heard of.
John Morris.
Yeah, you don't play as freaking Simon Belmont, and obviously if you're a huge Castlevania fan, you're like, oh, that's because blah, 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 story. I like Castlevania, but I don't know the story that well, so it was weird when I put it in. I was like, oh, okay, we're playing as different characters.
Where's my boys?
Where's my freaking Simon at? Now let's move on to a fantastic couch co-op game that I think is a must-own on the Sega Genesis.
It doesn't get enough love because everybody, when they think 16-bit era, they think Turtles in Time.
Hyperstone Heist. We got this game CIB. This is a prized jewel in our collection.
Yeah.
I'm so glad we have this. This game is badass, but what's really cool about this game is it's very similar to Turtles in Time. So if you like Turtles in Time, you're going to put this in and be like, I feel like I've played this.
I think
it's built on the same engine, I feel like.
You know, my nostalgia is obviously with Turtles in Time. Grew up Super Nintendo kid. But I think when comparing the two games, it really comes down to what level design do you like more? What boss battles do you like more? Because the games fundamentally are so similar.
Yeah, what controller? It kind of comes down to what controller you like more.
This game's epic, though. You cannot say Turtles in Time is one of the best beat-em-ups ever and not ring the bell for Hyperstone Heist because they're so much alike.
They are very similar. When we put it in, I was like, dude, I feel like I played this before. That's because you're like, oh, that's because it's very similar to Turtles in Time.
Yeah.
We did play this in the arcade, though, so I have played it before.
We did. We played it on a Turtles in Time cabinet, but this was the game. We got, through a few levels, and we were a little tipsy.
Yeah.
And I was like, this isn't Turtles in Time.
And I was like, what are you talking about? The cabinet says it is.
Yeah, but I knew it wasn't.
Yeah, wow.
But anyway, Hyperstone Heist is awesome. It doesn't get enough love because it just... I don't know why. I don't know why Turtles in Time goes down as, the greatest...
Probably because Turtles in Time had an arcade counterpart.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
maybe,
So there was more people that played it.
But Hyperstone Heist, Konami. You're going to see a lot of Konami moving forward. No spoilers. You know, everything we talk about here and the console, if you want to play on OG hardware, probably going to run you about $500.
And I will say, if you are new to the Genesis, this applies to all the games we're talking about. This is a great way to get used to the Genesis controller. These games really throw you in and be like, okay, this is jump. It makes you more adapted to the controller because a lot of the games they have learning curves.
Yep.
Especially for me because I didn't grow up with the Genesis. The Sega Genesis controller, I'm still learning how to use it. And I'm just using a 3 button, and I'm still... You throw on the 6 button? Whoa. It's like driving a semi compared to a plane, you know? Way different. Can't handle it. Now let's move on to the next game. We've already talked about the first in the series, but I think the second is a must-own, and that's Streets of Rage 2. Another beat-em-up. We have 2 beat-em-ups on our list.
What game screams Sega Genesis more than Streets of Rage 2?
Oh, dude, this game is incredible. This is my only drawback with the Streets of Rage series is the friendly fire.
Yeah. I agree.
I hate that.
I agree.
But
and that's why I've always kind of liked the Turtles games more. Hyperstone Heist, Turtles in Time, etc. But
you can play with people that aren't experienced and still have fun, you know?
Yeah. Streets of Rage 2, it's like the blueprint for beat-em-ups, though.
It's so
It
good.
is.
So good.
Did such a great job. Obviously, in current times, we got the fourth game in the franchise, which surprisingly is epic. But if there was one Streets of Rage game to play, it's Streets of Rage 2.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So good. And even with the friendly fire, it's so good. That's it's amazing.
Fantabulous.
Right. We have one more game to talk about. But let's talk about this beer first. Let's leave him on the cliffhanger.
The 4 giants. Or giants.
Giants. The 4 giants. There's 4 giants on the can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can only see their heads, so we don't even know how giant they are.
Yeah, but they got giant heads. But this is an Imperial IPA by Founders.
Founders.
This guide comes in at 9.2%, so it is a heavy hitter. But it's Founders, so I don't expect anything less. What do you think?
Man, Founders, my mind always goes to their stouts.
Dude, they're so good at stouts. So good.
So good at stouts. I think we've said multiple times on the channel, Founders is one of our favorite breweries that we've encountered. They just deliver time and time and time again. We did the Fruitwood recently, and we were kind of like, it was okay. This is good.
This is really good. If you're a fan of IPAs or a fan of Imperial IPAs,
this has got some teeth.
This is a girthy IPA.
Yeah.
This is a punchy IPA. If you don't like IPAs, you'll take a sip of this and go,
yeah,
because there's a lot going on in this. But as a fan of IPAs, I really enjoy this. This would be great on a hot summer day. It's just got good teeth.
Your termites in your smile.
It's 9.2%, and you can tell it tastes like it's 9.2%.
Yeah.
It's a heavy hitter, but I really like it.
You got a couple of these, you're going to be feeling pretty damn good, for sure. But Founders, man, they deliver. They do. Time and time again. We've gave a couple of their brews a rougher review, but for the most part,
dude, Founders.
Top shelf.
Yeah, if you see Founders, pick them up. They're so good. Then moving on to the last game that I think is a must-own for the Sega Genesis. We've talked about this game for a while. We're actually working on a no-death run for this game currently, and that is Contra Hardcore by Konami. Wow. Konami.
Yeah.
Konami. We must like Konami.
This is Ben from Konami. You're watching Gaming Off the Grid, and you've made an excellent choice today.
But Contra Hardcore, one of the best couch co-op games, arguably one of the best Contra games.
Yeah.
This game is incredible. The music, the gameplay, the different characters, the different pathways.
Yeah.
It's so hard, but yet so fun, and once you figure it out and you die, it's your fault. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, like, too hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the fact, like, the bosses, once you get past, like, the first quarter of the game, they're unpredictable.
Oh, yeah,
They've got multiple...
different patterns.
You can't just remember how it always goes. I'm new to this Genesis thing. Obviously, I had a friend lived up the street, had the Sega channel. Some guys down the road, Live 96, NHL 94,
Hell yeah.
Mortal Kombat. So I've dabbled. But for the most part, my perspective on the Genesis probably doesn't matter to most Genesis hardcores. But for me, right now, I would love somebody to tell me what's a better Sega Genesis game than this game right here.
Dude, it's so good.
This, in my opinion, as it stands today in 2022, is the best game on the Sega Genesis. I love this fucking game.
It's amazing, and I know this game is also expensive for physical.
Yeah.
But I definitely think if you're a Genesis fan, or if you're getting into the Genesis, this is a must-own game. Especially if you're into that co-op, especially if you're into Contras, run and gun. Dude, this game is incredible.
You know,
and it will beat the hell out of you.
A lot of these there's a wide margin for if you only want the cart to where if you want it CIB.
Yes.
Which Genesis, as much as I love Super Nintendo, and Super Nintendo is the better console.
Oh, wow.
Hot take. But
in a Genesis episode, you're saying that?
yeah,
Wow.
it is. I still believe that. I maybe could be convinced otherwise as we go through this journey.
Wow.
But you got to give Genesis some love on these clamshell cases versus the boxes. I mean, this is awesome to have something like that. But hardcore.
Wow.
It's for hardcores.
It really is, dude. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
Guys, that's 5 must-own Sega Genesis games. Let us know in the comments below, what are some Genesis games that you think we should pick up that we don't have? What are some games that you say that are must-own Genesis games?
I'm guessing we're going to hear some Thunder Force stuff coming in here.
Ooh, good call.
Come through the wavelengths.
There's a lot of shmups.
You
on
know,
the
there's
freaking
some other
Genesis.
games we really want to get. We really want to get Moonwalker. We really want to get the
Moonwalker.
Punisher.
The Punisher. Justice with a vengeance.
But these are the games that we have that we think are must-own.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're new to the Genesis, so everyone's probably like, oh, yeah, I already know about these games.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
If you're new to the Genesis, pick these games up. They're amazing.
There's someone out there that will see this video. It's like, I just found a Genesis in the wild, and what should I pick up?
Bam, here it is.
This video is for you. We always appreciate you tuning in and subscribing to the channel. We'll see you next time, right here on the one and only Gaming Off the Grid. Right. Ready?
Which I can be.
Right.
Try this.
Let's go to Poke. We've had it a few times. For the price of this, to get Streets of Rage 1 and Revenge of Shinobi,
Yeah.
Brown Shinobi, Gabbo,
And I was hitting like this. I think like this.
but this game stands... Man, I gotta find something to blow my nose on.
He's getting sick. I got him sick.
Man.
I got him sick in the middle of the episode.